Okay, hi. Welcome to another day. Gavin Mills discussing narcotics, drugs. Um, Anyone that's joined me for the first time, welcome. It's cool to have you here in such great company for such an auspicious occasion. But I suppose the guys that have been here for a while, you're sitting here and I can just see your face. You think, oh my God, how's this okay? He's coming on social media. Marge, come and look here. This Aki, he's on social media. He's telling the whole world about his drug problem. I mean, it's not done, eh? You don't do that. You don't go splash your stuff, your personal life, all over social media. I mean, for God's sake, has he got no honor? Yeah, it's a difficult question. I gave it a lot of thought, obviously. Uh, but I thought, I'm not embarrassed about it. Shit happened. I took drugs, you know what I mean? And it was fun. I thought it was, and I just didn't know the damage. I'm sure there's millions of people, a lot of you guys out there, a lot of you guys with family who are either given up, please God, or are thinking about it, or thinking about what you're doing. Have you got it under control? And that was the thing. I saw the whole of getting into drugs is not like an overnight boom. You have one hit and God, you're a drug addict. You know what I mean? It's not. It's like a slow thing. You take it and eventually get into it, and then you're still moving from a recreational drug taker into an addict. Well, when it becomes an addict, you know what I mean? You don't. Hey, I've got it under control. I know my drugs. Like I've done this for a while. Okay, so I know what I take, what I don't take, and I know what it does to me. I got my wife. Okay, so my marriage is a bit of a fuck up. Okay, but she's a bitch. You know what I mean? That's so that's understand. It's not the drugs. It's the and business. Hey, I've got clients. My clients are just fucking mad, man. I mean, don't the understand? Yeah, the deadlines. Yes, I know. Missed a couple, but it's not that bad. I mean, for God's sake, give a man a life, And this is the thing, we make excuses. Anyway, so that's the thing, is to unpack my little excuses in my life and where I made the bad mistakes. And as I say, I made the first mistake drinking at school, but not drinking. Because alcohol's not evil. It's the fact that I didn't get education. When we were young, it was like, if you're cool, you're the money. You went and got doped, you know what I mean? You went and got drunk and picked up the chicks. And we, as we know, that's what we did at school. We tried anyway, successfully, sometimes mostly unsuccessfully, but that was part of the life of the mating game. Boom, so I get my little bursting off. I go to Wits, and as I say, I arrived there, and first day got pissed, and that's it. Then, I mean, from there you go in your orientation weeks. Every night's a piss up, okay? And then from there, it goes in orientation, and this is where you're supposed to be getting to know each other, but already dividing. We had runs in the morning. I was fit. I used to run with Oaks. I used to run with Bruce Fordyce. Hey, he's a great band. Bruce, if you're out there somewhere. And then he went on. I became a junkie, But anyway, so we used to run, but then I wanted to go and party. I like to party, and I wanted to go. And then as we started going into varsity, people stopped partying. Now you had to look around for someone to party because everyone started studying. And even my roommate, hell of a nice guy, really guy, doing dentistry. And we got hit it up like a house on fire about 3 weeks. And then he wanted to study, but I wanted to party. And I was going, I can get pissed and coming in late at night and, not getting up in the morning, not going. So it was completely disruptive for him. For me as well, it was terribly disruptive. I just didn't know it was me doing the disruption. So then he asked to move rooms, and halfway through the year they changed rooms, very, very diplomatic. No one says anything. This is the thing at Varsity. When you go there and you go and party, especially at Wits, no one was coming and saying, you can't do this, you must go to your lectures or go and finish your tutorials. No one checked up. No one said a word. Everyone still smiled at you. The lecturers still smiled at you. You still went to class. And you start, obviously, now as the piss cat. People get to know you, and you think everyone thinks like you are bloody Chuck Norris, you know what I mean? You're the man, and everyone, wherever you go, people, oh, are you crazy? And you take it as a compliment. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm the crazy one, the crazy one. And you are, so you start acting like the fucking crazy one because now you've got a reputation to uphold, and you've got to, and then come rag dynamics. Fuck me, that was another story all its own. A lot of fun. I mean, How to throw your name away in one easy lesson. And I had a good go, I had a good go at it, and I enjoyed it. I really did. It was a lot of fun, and just carried on. But stopped doing the tutorials, stopped eventually going to lectures, started playing cards in the canteen, thinking about the job, thinking about hanging out with guys that did interesting things, learned to hang glide, went hang gliding in the afternoon. Come the end of the year, I think that year I photostated some like R1,000 worth of notes of trying other people's lectures, and I think pages were like 5 cents a page or something ridiculous. And I wrote the exams, and my results were crashed. I failed dismally, which obviously, since I had a scholarship, didn't go down very well with mother and father. They were a little bit pissed off, quite honestly, which I don't blame them. But they didn't say anything. And years later, I didn't even feel repentant. I thought, oh, fuck, you know. But only years later, I thought they didn't really say anything about it. They just did it and supported me going on. But anyway, so I failed the first year. And then the one thing my father said, you will now come and stay at home. You will not stay at Rev. At Res. Now, I'd been from home at school, very controlled, to open seasons varsity, no limits, no boundaries. And I didn't know how to handle it. It was crazy. I mean, and I think it's part of our upbringing. And that's why I think our upbringing, I see us as Christians, I'm speaking as sort of Christian. And I'm comparing it, say, to the Indian culture or Indian nation and Jewish people. They've got it so waxed and so worked out. They brought up our Jewish friends, and they brought one in particular. His father brought him up in their family up and gave him the space, and he instilled in him a sense of self-discipline and control. He's a very successful man today. And Indian people as well, it's family unit, and they come together and they unite and they help each other and teach. We don't, do we? We turn around the minute someone's in problem, we like to say, oh, shame, yeah. You know, Alfred, shame, man. But let Alfred win the lotto, and all of a sudden shit goes right for Alfred. Then something fucking Alfred. I mean, doesn't he know? Do you know how much we did for Alfred? I mean, and look at it anyway. So we don't like it. I think we need to change that. One of the things, we are support structures. And also when we're in trouble, we go into silos. We don't like to talk about it. We see it as embarrassment. We see it as a blemish on our characters, and we don't get help, not even from families and not from institutions. And I think that needs to change. We've got to think about that. Anyway, so we go through first year, failed. Second year, I've now got to travel by train from Springs, catching the 6:33 in the morning to Varsity. Anyway, horrible. But now I'd started smoking weed in the holiday. Remember the time I told you when I met the guy with a combi game from Cape Town to Knysna, and we smoked my first time, and now I was officially a flower child. So when I came back to Varsity, and it's amazing how clusters stick together. You fly model aeroplanes, boom, you hang out with model aeroplane people. You know, you collect Barbie dolls, you hang out with Barbie doll people, except if you're a man, and then people will look at you strange, and you might have a very strange friend. But anyway, people cluster, cultures stick together, and the same with drugs. The minute you start smoking weed, especially, you know, it's, hey man, like you smoke, and the minute they light up, it's like an immediate affinity. You know how they're going to behave. You know they're going to be cool. Not like alcohol. You have a drink and you've got no idea where that person's going to go. And so we had this whole like flower power thing, and somehow I passed. I passed first year, and I did pretty well. So boom, got my bursary back, and I got a second year. And second year, my father said, well, you worked well at home last year. So then this year you will travel again. You're not going back to stay in Joburg. Which went down like a ton of fucking bricks. I'm like, no, I am not traveling. But I did. I traveled. And that year I lost the plot. I used to get up. If I was late for a lecture, we'd go to a joint. And then we'd go and play cards in the canteen forever. And I became a clavias expert. And I didn't even notice the year go past. We're doing weed. We didn't do chemicals. We're just doing a lot of weed. We were proper flower children. I had friends that were, and it was beautiful. Everything was beautiful except my results. And then I plugged. Well, I didn't even write the last maths exam. I didn't even, we went in, I looked at the paper. You were allowed an A4 crib sheet in. And I thought I put the whole syllabus on an A4 crib sheet. And I walked in and I looked at the paper and I looked at my crib sheet and I thought, my God, now why are they writing the questions in Greek? Because it wasn't even the same language as mine. Maybe I should have asked. Maybe it wasn't the same language. I never thought. But it was dismal. And then off I go to do the army. And still didn't have a feeling of, a feeling of remorse or feeling that I'd done something. It was like, oh, well, it didn't work. And this is the thing. I mean, I didn't think about my life. I think I was too young. And even the situation of going to varsity, I should have gone to the army first because now I had to go to the army. But how many kids at 18 know what they want to do? I didn't. I didn't have a clue. I hadn't even started thinking about it. I didn't start thinking about it even at the army, and as you'll see, my life just turned out very, very strange. But we don't prepare. Our parents don't tell us to ask about careers at school. If we come home stoned, they don't know that kids are stoned. We don't know. They don't know how to treat them. We're putting our kids on Ritalin when they're babies. We're taking antidepressants and anxiety and stabilizers. Well, I don't. But there are millions of people. So, in other words, we're brought up in a culture. I mean, you go to Brian nowadays and people, so what are you taking, doll? It's like a conversation piece. And kids are the same. They emulate us. They see us. And we're not giving them the advice. We don't tell them about their careers. We don't tell them about their dreams. So we go and explore, and we don't discuss what they would explore. My little son, who's turning, I shouldn't be saying, but my son, both of them, I told them about drugs. Crazy that I was such a bad bugger, and I am so anti. Anyway, but I told him my son got to grade 7 or something, and I started asking, how's it going? Are they talking drugs? And then he asked them, and they mentioned they were. I took my son, and I said, come, and I made him a joint. I know, bad, terrible. But I said, here it is. If you want to smoke this thing, you smoke it with me. If you want to turn around and then after experience, we can discuss it and find out the implications of what you're talking. If you want to get drunk, do the same thing. Come get drunk in my house with me and we can discuss it. We can talk about what it does and where it's going, what you've got to watch out for. And the same, I said, but there is no negotiation with chemicals. I said the transition from alcohol or weed to chemicals takes you from the moon to Alpha Centauri. It's a completely different game, but you don't notice it. You don't see it, but it is. Believe me, it is so different. But I spoke to them and I sat there, and then afterwards, he had a little bit of a altercation, well, not an altercation, but a little bit of an embarrassing incident, which thank God he got through and all my kids. But the fact of the matter, these things should not be shunned and demonized and pushed and not discussed and only said, no, stop doing it. We should discuss these with our kids. We should really explore them in our own head and understand how we feel about them. And how we look at our lives and wonder what it is doing to our lives. Are we taking a bird's eye view and looking at our lives, looking over a 10-year period, 5-year period, and taking them out, if you are doing them, and taking the alcohol thing out of the life and say, how would it have been different? I'll be telling you a bit later how I see my life might have been different. I don't know the thing, but I know the mistakes I made. And the varsity, what is the mistake there? Throwing a fucking university education away. That's what I did. I came and I took 3 years at varsity. I wasn't doing the right course. Yeah, I should have been an artist making movie production. That's what I would have liked. My dream was to be a movie producer, but it didn't happen. I mean, I did production stuff from corporately, my event company. So I got there, but I wasn't a movie producer. I didn't make big movies. I didn't learn. Everything was learning by the skin of my teeth and say, how the fuck do you do this shit? And I got pretty good. I think I am pretty good at that kind of stuff. But knowing the same as launching a business. You launch a business, I launched a business, I didn't know how to launch a business, so you do everything by trial and error. Sometimes there's error, sometimes there's trial, and sometimes you get it right, but every single time, it's the long way around. If I would have learned, it would be much easier. So I think the varsity, know what you want to do. And kids going into that, it's open season, there's no more limits. You got free to do what you want. Be free to make a success of your life. Don't be free to get a couple of cheap thrills and go through. Yeah, they are the story of this that I said is altered perspectives and they're interesting stories. But when you have to start compromising, your life for it. If it was an exploratory kind of situation, then work it out. But going down and marrying yourself to drugs, and eventually you'll get to a point where you think of, do you buy food or do you buy drugs first? And all of a sudden this becomes a very difficult question. And that is the path of a drug user, abuser, and doesn't matter what you call yourself. At the end of the day, you're spending money on a regular basis. You're an addict. Come to grips with it. Have a lucky day, and I'll see you next time.